Hey everybody, it is 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and that means it is chopping it up on 105.9 Crazy Country. Today is a special day. So before we begin, I want to say this. When they asked me if I wanted a radio show, my mind didn't go to talk radio. It didn't go to hot takes or shouting or trying to be right. It went back to this show called Northern Exposure, and a guy on the radio in Cicely, Alaska, John Corbett. Back to a time when radio felt like a campfire, where conversations were slow, curious, sometimes weird, sometimes philosophical, but always human. People didn't always agree, but they listened. Silence was allowed. And the point wasn't to win, it was to understand. John played Chris Stevens, a voice that didn't tell you what to think, but invited you to sit with an idea for a while. And without trying too hard, he made radio feel meaningful. So, when I said yes to this show, Chopping It Up, that's what I was chasing. A place for stories, a place for curiosity, a place where we just talk like people again. And now, this is the full circle moment for me. You know John Corbett from Sex and the City, from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, from decades of film and television playing characters with heart, steadiness, and soul. He's also a musician, a songwriter, a road guy, and someone who chose the long arc over the shortcut. So today, this isn't a press tour. This is just a list of credits. It's just a conversation. John Corbett, welcome, and I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for coming, man.
I feel like you're too young to know Northern Exposure. No. That's 35 years ago.
You know, I am a kid of, had a key around my neck. My family, mom's home and family and stuff like that. But TV was, it was the thing where you would go see stuff, right? And I gravitated to a lot of stuff that, as a kid, maybe was a little weird. I don't know, if it was 30 years ago, I was 20 or whatever. And when the things were on at night, when you get in a routine, turn on the TV, turn on this, and here you are, and just sit back and I got to be honest with you, this isn't blowing smoke or anything like that. We've had a great conversation, but your character in that doing this right now, small town, going out over the airwaves, making people listen to something, think about something. For me, as a kid who didn't really know what philosophy was, right? But to think about something a little bit deeper than maybe every other person thinking about something did, that really stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me a little bit of who I am, and I have you to thank for that. So thanks for coming on, man.
For the people who don't know what we're talking about, Here's what happened when the show Northern Exposure was on the air from 90 to 95. When it left the air, it had so much music in it from, CC&R and Dwight Yoakam and just the list goes on, that it became almost impossible for them to replay it because of the royalties. So it disappeared and was just sort of gone until a little over a year ago, it came up again on Amazon.
Awesome. And
now it plays on Amazon. So if anybody out there doesn't know this show, or if you're an old fan, go watch some of them, because this is going in 1990 when, you had ABC and CBS and Fox, and just a few channels.
And some channels on the TV.
Some people still had to get up from the couch and go change it with their hand. So it wasn't
the dark
like
ages.
Yeah, the dark ages. It wasn't like today. If you didn't have a VCR, you had to be home on Monday nights at 10 o'clock when it came on, and it was just a very nice way to start your week. It ended at 11 across the United States, and it was 1 hour. It just felt really nice. It was another world up there. And I didn't know philosophy either. It was my first job. I was about 27, I guess.
That was your first job?
It was my
first big one.
I'd been trying to become an actor since about 84. This was 1990. And I was just about ready to give it up because I wasn't making any headway. I'd worked in a steel factory, and I wasn't making any money doing it. I was an extra. I was on extra on Chips and Cagney and Lacey, and I did that for I would call my mom and say, "Mom, tonight a guy gets hit by a car, and look to the left. I'm standing right next to Cagney."
That's awesome.
And it was like I was a big star. I grew up in West Virginia, in Wheeling, West Virginia, and my mom would have all her friends over just to see me be an
There he
extra.
is.
There he is. There he is.
There's no rewinding because you had to be there, right?
You had to be there.
You had to be there.
Especially then. We didn't have a VCR back then. That was in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And then in 1988, I got a nice guest starring role, my real first on the Wonder Years TV show.
That was okay. That was a show that families got together to sit on the couch to watch that show, right?
That's right.
That was a big deal.
But when I got the show, they had made 3 of them, but the world didn't know about it yet because they hadn't come on television.
Got it.
And so the guy that played the dad, Dan Loria, knew I did some theater and got me in. And I got a really nice guest starring role. I was this college boyfriend of the young daughter.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like a Vietnam, objector. And
he fought in the Korean War, and you had a big fight at a table.
Holy
cow!
Yeah, that's right.
Got it.
That's
okay.
right.
Man, you're pulling this right out.
That's it. And I
remember that.
I thought I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And then the show came out, and I think mine was the 3rd or 4th episode. It got a lot of press. People loved it. And then I got all these meetings, and it was radio silence for 2 years. So from 88, from that to 90, not one more thing.
Really?
And I thought, I just probably picked the wrong thing to try and make a living at.
Sure.
And I was in acting class with a lot of guys who were in their 30s and 40s and even 50s who had been wanting it for so long, and it felt odd and like, buddy, this dream's not going to happen. Not because they weren't having fun,
right?
Because they weren't having fun, they just wanted it so desperately, and I felt like I don't want to be that. And it's not for everybody, and it's mostly luck. And what else can I do? Maybe I can do something in this business, or just try something new. And because I really wasn't a guy who loved acting.
Yeah.
I did some scenes in classes and I liked it. But
that's probably why you're good at it.
Well, I didn't wake up in the morning thinking I cannot wait to
perform
for people. Oh, boy, when they see me do this scene.
Wait till they get a load of this.
Just wait, pal. And I was in a commercial. I did a bunch of commercials. So I wasn't working as a actor, but I had done 50 national commercials. Right?
That's not bad.
It wasn't bad.
That's not bad.
It wasn't bad.
Okay.
And so
what's the one commercial you're a little embarrassed by?
A little embarrassed by.
Or the one you like the most. I'm just asking.
The one that I liked the most was a Jack in the Box commercial.
Okay.
Which has got me the Northern exposure.
Okay.
Because I was a talking head. Most of the commercials I didn't have anything to say in. I was in, but this one was a featured one where I'm talking about this sourdough burger, and man, it's a big close up, and I'm just telling the world, looking in the camera, how delicious this thing is. And so the CBS Universal called me in and said, "Yeah, you're really interesting. You did a lot with a cheeseburger, and read this script and see if you want to come in and And so that's really what happened. And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Seattle, where I would then live for the next 15 years,
Unreal.
And it changed the course of my life.
So Fess Parker, who lived in the Valley, he had a 15 seconds on the movie It, right? The movie It. He screams, and Walt Disney saw that and said,
"No way,
that's my Davy Crockett."
No way,
yes.
Really?
Like where you're talking about that commercial, like that 15 seconds of like the right person was watching at the right time, lightning strikes, but you have done all this preparation, you're ready to go. 15 years later, bang.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
Yeah, and so
you were like a 10-year overnight success.
That's what I was. And when a lot of younger people want to know if there's sort of any shortcuts, who kids want to be actors, and that's good. But I think everything in this business that I'm in, if you're going to be on camera, is almost 100% luck.
Sure.
Even though I did it, and I've had a 40-year career and had some good success. I couldn't even write a leaflet on what steps to take to do it again. It would just say, "Hope you get lucky," because really that has been every part of any success that I've ever had in this business is 100% sheer luck.
Okay, so you luck into this. What was the next step? Well, like what? So you're on Northern Exposure for how?
Yeah.
You said 15?
Well, no. I lived there for
You
15
lived there
years,
for 15.
but it was on the air for about 5 years, from 90 to 95.
Meaty. That's like Monday night at a specific time.
Yeah.
For years.
We did about 110 episodes.
Syndicate. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
Awesome. How was that experience?
oh God, I was young. I was, like I said, 27.
Yeah.
I had a little apartment down in Toluca Lake.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, living in an apartment in Seattle in, I believe it was March of 1990. Mm-hmm. And people who know about music know that was almost the atom. That was the atom bomb of
Nirvana
and Soundgarden and Queensryche and Stone Temple Pilots, or not Stone Temple Pilots. I'm thinking of Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam. I'm thinking of Pearl Jam, and it's such a
music took a right turn.
Well, for anybody that's never really spent any time in Seattle, it is a small little town. It's a walking town. Yep. It's just such a beautiful small place. And so being famous, it's crazy that in January of 1990, I was just another guy walking around. And by May, everywhere I went, the show had started to air. Everywhere I went in Seattle anyway, it was like Elvis had come to town. And so to go from that, and then not, just stood in front of a film camera and memorized somebody else's lines and said them to have this Elvis attention. And now I'm hanging out in this small little town in bars and stuff with, hey, that's that tall guy from Nirvana. Right. What's your name, buddy? Yeah. Chris. How do you spell that? And to be having beers with these guys and Jerry Cantrell. I mean, it was just crazy to be.
Somebody gave you the keys to the toy box.
They gave me the keys to the toy box.
Yeah.
And it went on for about, I don't know, 15 years living up there. Awesome. I ended up getting a bar, a nightclub with live music, 7 nights a week. I mean, we had 65 employees. I had $1 million worth of fun there in a decade, but I never made $1. But we employed people, and we had 2 bands downstairs, 2 bands upstairs, 7 nights a week, and I went a little nuts and partied way too hard because I thought I'd live forever, and sometimes a decade just goes by in a blink of an eye. Mm-hmm. And I would do it all over again, I think.
Yeah.
That's where I was living when I met Bo, my wife, Bo Derek. Well, my girlfriend, Bo Derek, until 5 years ago. She became my wife.
Congrats.
Thank you. We met in 2002. So in 2002, I was still living up there for about 2 more years. And when I thought this would, work out, I was coming from there down to here, flying into Santa Barbara Airport and going back up there, when I thought, I think I want to live down here in Santa Ynez now. So in 2004, I sold my house up there and became a permanent resident of the valley.
Well, welcome.
Thanks, buddy.
You bring up Bo. The crazy part about that, it's like, I'm going to ask you a very bizarre, weird question, but you're sitting here. I'm taking my shot.
I've got the answer, whatever it is.
Perfect. So you married the woman that everybody had on a poster for most of their life. I mean, congratulations, number one, on that.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Going from that show, getting married or dating Bo, right? I mean, Bo I've met her a few times, seen her around Christmas caroling and things like that.
Yeah.
But what a sweet woman, man.
Yeah.
What a sweetheart. I mean, just all of those things where if it's like, you see the poster of someone or what's the classic Shawshank Redemption, right? It's like the poster changed on the wall with the pinups and everything else.
Yeah.
And it was just like you would see that from Farrah Fawcett to this to that, and it would change. And in a world where people are a 2-dimension, right? Getting to meet her, you're like, oh, this is not only just a beautiful woman to look at, but like
Yeah.
a true great soul.
Yeah.
You know, that just a 2-center on that one.
Yeah, it was a well, I'll tell you briefly how we met. A friend of mine had an Oscar party every year for all the people in Hollywood who. His name was Norby Walters, and he just died last year at about 92 years old. But for all the people that Hollywood had turned their backs on, who were big stars in their day, like Burt Reynolds and Rod Steiger and whoever, Jim Nabors, and Connie Stevens, all these people, Sally Struthers, David Carradine, who weren't invited to the current Oscars and the current Vanity Fair. He'd have a big party for all these people at the Beverly Hills Hotel, right? And it was underwritten by this wealthy man, and it was, we watched the Oscars live, but it was black tie affair, and I'd been a couple times. And so that year he invited me, and I wasn't dating anyone. And I said, Norby, I don't have a date. And he goes, just come alone. And I said, it's a couples kind of thing. I don't want to come alone. And he said, I'll get you a date. And I said, no, that's okay, buddy. And a day later, he called up and said, hey, you want to take Bo Derek? And I said, Bo Derek? He goes, yeah.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to get to the go. Keep going. This is great.
Well, Bo's husband had died about 2 years earlier, and Norby knew Bo, and she wanted to go to this event. And so he said
I didn't have a date.
Well, he said, I know her, and I already asked her, and she loves you from Northern Exposure, and I was on the show at the time, Sex and the City.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, she knows you from that. He goes, here's a number, give her a call. And so I called her up, and I said, hey, it's John, and we chatted, and I said, you want to go to this thing? She sounded great. And she said, yeah, let's go. It sounds fun. We talked for about an hour or so. Yeah. And I said, well, we should probably get together before this, and if we don't like each other, we won't go. So I went to L.A., and we had dinner. She was down in L.A. She wasn't here in San Ynez. She was down in L.A. visiting a friend. And we went to dinner, and the thing was coming. It was great. And I went to dinner with her and maybe 4 or 5 of her friends.
Yeah.
And we went to the thing. We've been together ever since.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
What a love story.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so Sex in the City.
Yeah.
So Northern Exposure.
Yeah.
Okay, to Sex in the City.
It's so funny. In 90, I start the decade of the 90s.
Yeah.
With this show in the outback of Alaska, cut to almost 10 years to the day later.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting the 2000. In 2000, I think February of 2000, I'm now in New York on this show, Sex in the City.
Okay.
So you couldn't have two different worlds.
How did you get that call? How did that call come about? Was that show on for a while, or was that another like brand new thing? Forgive my ignorance.
That show, I think, was on for a season, maybe 2. It could have been on from 99, but it was on. I didn't know the show. Mm-hmm. I'd never heard of it. I didn't have HBO back then, and they wanted me to be in 2 episodes, and I wasn't really doing guest stars. I'd never. I'd done some TV movies, but I just didn't want to become a guest star actor. So, it felt like doing The Love Boat or something.
A very special episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it.
I felt like I was still too young to be doing that in my career.
Got it.
And I still feel that way at 65. Like, I'm too young to be doing Love Boats. Well, just not yet.
So when today, when we were getting together to do this, I put it on my calendar, which my calendar goes to our tasting room and it's shared calendar. I literally within 10 minutes, talking to Corbett on the thing, right? I got 4 texts from the whole staff. You got to talk to him about Sex and the City. Every single one of them, bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, this is a cultural phenomenon that I was personally not a part of, right?
Yeah.
So I'm asking for everybody who's listening, not me. I want to know. I got it. Let's hear the stories.
Okay. So they offer it to me and send me 2 VHSs, right?
Yeah.
And I popped them in. And it was just pretty vulgar, right? And in my episode, my first one, they wanted me to get naked and get into a bathtub.
We're on regular radio, just so you know. Okay, keep going.
We're on regular radio.
Yeah.
But I'll watch all my. I won't say any swear words or talk about any body parts other than they wanted me to be naked. That's okay. I can say that.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, my mom watches everything I do. I am not doing it, but it was pretty verbal and a lot of F-bombs and things like that on the show. And
as a certified mama's boy, by the way, like I don't cuss online.
Yeah.
I don't cuss in front of my mom. I don't write anything because I know my mom will call me the minute she sees something. Goes, hey, that's not how I raised you. It feels like there's a little bit of that vibe.
There was a lot of that going on.
Got it.
And and I passed. And so they said, and I was in West Virginia at the time visiting my mom, right? So I'm just a short trip from New York. And they said, is there any way we could get you to get on a plane and come to New York just to meet Sarah Jessica Parker, who I knew of, I think, from a movie or maybe Footloose or some movie she was in. But, funny enough, in my extra work, I was an extra on Square Pegs.
I remember that show. That is a great show.
It was It was a show right by Cerritos.
Yes,
that was their high school.
I remember
it was
that.
At Excelsior High School, which was the Grease 2 high school.
That is exactly right. Yeah. I knew that. Yeah. Okay.
And
shared history there.
Shared history. But I didn't really know Sarah Jessica. But here's the thing. Oh, you asked something else. So from 97 until 2000, I was the on-air camera spokesman for Ford, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing these commercials. I'm going, hey, you got your F-150 here. It was a little bit of a Marlon, a Godfather. Like, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I was like, you want me to do what? For how much to do what? To talk about Fords? Yeah, and we'll give you one, which I still have, by the way.
For how much time a week? No problem.
Well, I signed a 3-year deal to do this. So I made a bunch of commercials.
By the way, after the show, I want to see the rabbit's foot because I mean,
I got one somewhere.
If
I don't know.
Write this book, man. Might as well call it Rabbit's Foot. Keep going. This is good.
Well, so they're looking for this new character, Aiden, and Sarah Jessica. I believe this is the true story. Sarah Jessica saw me on one of the Ford commercials and said, "Oh, I remember that guy from Northern Exposure.
Yeah.
I like him." And so I think that's how it initially came to me.
Yeah.
And so I had a friend who lived in New York, and I took that opportunity to fly to New York. I still wasn't going to do the show, but I was going to go to New York for a free trip from Pittsburgh.
The fact that you didn't want it makes me like this story so much more. This is good. This is great.
Well,
you got to be on. Okay, anybody think of you at 26.
Yeah.
Right. 2 years of not getting anything, you get this thing, right?
Yeah.
You would those guys that you were in that class with, right? That are just tripping over themselves to want to get a role, right? And now you're in a position where you're like, let's go check it out, right?
Yeah.
That's a place of strength and comfort, in all honesty, like in a situation like this where you're like, hey, let's see how this goes. Let's see if it's a good fit. I mean, comfortability. That just from an outside perspective, I mean that definitely lends itself to a unique position, right? In a situation where a lot of people would have just pulled out their right tooth to get anything.
Well, a lot of times too, it comes down to like how much money you got in the bank,
Give
right?
me that.
I mean,
back up the truck.
I mean, look, I'm in the same position now at 65 that I was before Northern Exposure, which is I haven't worked in 2 years. As an actor, for 2 years, I've been living. Every penny that Bo and I spend is off of savings, right? Not one dime coming in, right?
Gotcha.
So like I'd jump at that chance now if it came in for like, hey, we want you on Happy's Place for 2 episodes. Like, what, can I be there this afternoon?
Hey, we'd like you to be the Fonz on a reboot of Happy Days.
I'll do it. I don't even need a script. Let's go. Hey, Cunningham. I'll do it. I still have some hair. But here's what happened. Knock, knock, knock on the door down in the Village in Soho in New York. Door opens up. Oh my God. Here's this smiling little blonde girl, no makeup on. I don't even think Sarah Jessica had shoes on. She's got a big smile, gives me a hug. Hi. And I just sort of fell in love with her right there.
Yeah.
And so I come in and, the 2 producers are there and we're chatting and they said, look, you don't have to be naked. Be as naked or not naked as you want to be. We just want you on the show. And I said yes because I fell in love with her. And those 2 episodes turned into 2 seasons. So I did, I think, 8 episodes a season, and that once again, like, sort of changed my life. Weird.
Iconic.
Saying yes is, like that Yes Man movie. Saying yes
Yeah.
is something I'm still trying to do more of these days.
Fantastic.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I have thought in my small life is fear has killed more dreams than failure ever could. Right. And so when I think of anybody who's listening to this, you have a dream, you have something you want to go do, like I don't belong on the radio. Like, why am I doing this? Because somebody asked me, and what my answer was, yeah, sure. Sounds great. Let's do it. And here we are, talking together and getting to know each other and hopefully doing something good with it. Right. That's my whole thing. If I say no, it's done. If I say yes, then something good can come of this. And for you, it seems like when you say yes, good things happen.
Yeah. For the most part, I can't really think of anything negative that's ever happened when I've said yes.
Okay.
But maybe people out there listening have the same fear of yes. Yes means I didn't really want to take time out of my day a few days ago to come down here to Solvang in the middle of the day.
Walk 10 blocks.
You know what I mean? To talk about my life. I don't have any social media at all. I have none. I'm really not that interested in sharing.
Probably why you're so healthy.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm so healthy. I've never had it. I've never had Facebook. I've never had any of it, and I don't look at it. And so when I saw Carp at El Rancho, he's like, "Hey, come do this show with my buddy Keith." I'm like, I don't really want to, because that means I got horses and stuff to feed around 3:00. It's like, why do I want to go do that?
By the way, that was my favorite part of the text. Can we get it early and done in the day? Because at 3 I got chores. And I went like this. Yeah, I got chores too. 1:30. Perfect.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But I said yes, because I thought, why not? I like Carp. He's never asked me for anything. He asked me if I'd like to do this. This is all happening instantaneously while you're talking to the guy. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know you, but he's like, this guy's great. You'll love it. And I went, let's do it. And so what I'm saying to the people out there listening is the fear of, it's so much easier if I just said, no, I'm busy, I can't. Then I don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to drive here, and I don't have to, it's crazy here today. It's like I park 10 blocks away. I don't have to do any of this if I say no. So I'm happy I said yes, because getting to talk to you, we chatted before the people were listening to us, found out we're from the same area in Southern California. And this is, now that we're on the air talking, I don't have an agenda. You don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to sell anything. You're not selling anything. It's like, I'm so happy I said yes. Well, that's the thing. I'm happy I said yes.
That dovetails into, just, if you indulge me for a second, one of the things I've been thinking about just personally, we're at the end of a year, and when this airs, it's a brand new beginning of a new year, right? Mm-hmm. And I like to take stock personally. Like I make a list I look back at my list from 2024 and what I want to do in 2025. And then at the end of 2025, I look back at that list and try to make a list for 2026.
That's good.
And
I got to do that.
And so for me, the thing this year that I've kind of stumbled into is, and this is a little bit of philosophy more than anything else. And if you're listening to this and follow me on Instagram, I write a book every day. I do. I'm horribly dyslexic, and it's my chopping wood. Like, I get up first thing in the morning. My first thing I need to do is think about something, figure something out, do something creative real quick before, or as I like to say, God take over my day before I do. Wow. Right. And one of the things I was thinking in the last 5 years, right? I have a real problem early on in COVID. I lost my dad 5 years ago, right at the beginning of COVID. And then the term social distancing came up, and we all adopted it. Right, to a certain extent. And I hated that term because it shouldn't have been social distancing. It should have been physically distance. We should physically distance ourselves. If they would have said that, I'd been, oh yeah, I get it, 6 feet. Okay, no problem, piece of cake. Mm-hmm. But they didn't say that. They said socially distance. And here 5 years later, I'm still thinking about it. And I went, well, I think that little term has done more damage than to our society, to our community, to people, than anything else I can think of. There are horrible things going on in this world, but just still carrying a bag for that, right? If you watch the news, you look at anything, we are distant socially. And my 2026, where you're saying yes, a few months ago, I don't like parties, right? It's a horrible. I'm the most social, antisocial person that there is. And my wife,
why don't you like them?
Because I like in the Valley, I am the Irish exit king. Like I'll go to a party, say hello to literally everybody. How's it going? Da, 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 and then bounce. Right?
Because why?
I had to answer that question for myself, and I think the answer to that question was, I'm good at 10 feet, right? But when I let people in 10 feet and closer, it gets, I'm vulnerable. I'm in striking distance personally. And now this is me just opening myself up, right? I'm doing it right now. I'm saying yes to the thing I'm trying to do. And so now I'm like, okay, when they start singing at a party, like I was just at a party the other day and it's a Christmas party and everybody starts singing, that's usually my cue to leave. And this year I went, what song are we singing? And started singing, right? And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, this is very fun. And had a great time, said yes. And that party, I loved it because when I sat there and I looked around and nobody was on their phones, everybody was hugging and talking and laughing and cheersing and saying, oh, have you tried this yet? Oh my gosh, this and that. And it felt like a Rockwell painting. And I went, hey, this is pretty good. And then we went to another party, same thing. Everybody getting together, people started singing. I started playing the drums. I don't play the drums, but I can keep time, right? And I had a great time. It was awesome. Somebody's like, hey, you did great. I didn't know you played drums. I go, I don't. But yes, I said yes, let's go. And then even last night, we have a thing that we haven't done for 5 years at our house, which is called Sunday Supper. And we call a bunch of friends. We say, you bring some food. We're all getting together and we're going to eat and we're going to have a time together. So I'm wrapping this all piece up was the time of social distancing is over, right? For me. And what we need to do is rebuild community and say yes to each other, get in rooms like we're doing today. Like I made a new friend.
Yeah.
By you saying yes, hey, I made a new friend today. This is amazing. And we live in such a beautiful valley of community that is so special that if every single person, like my New Year's resolution is going to be on the first, hey, everybody, let's pick up a little, if you see litter, pick it up and throw it away. Just real small. Day 2, wave somebody into traffic, smile at them, give them a wave. I'm trying to think through this next year in 2026, which is say yes to stuff and then leave everything a little bit better than you found it, right? And if we as a society decide that, hey, we're going to pick up trash today, and 1 million people start doing that, what a better world we would live in. If we're sitting in traffic and everybody's like, hey, today we're waving people in, and people start waving people in, what a better world we're going to live in, right? And if we just start doing that little teeny thing and start rebuilding our society from the last 5 years, we're kind of done with it. The screens have failed us. It's time to get back on, invite people over, have a glass of wine, sit back, relax, talk, connect, make a new friend. What will the next 5 years look like? So that's just me, what I was thinking about this morning. And you saying yes to all of this coming in is like the first step to all of that. And that was very inspirational to me to yep, that's exactly what we need to be doing as a group, right? And the Valley, to me, is a perfect breeding ground for that. So you found the Valley through Bo, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then
I'd never been here before.
You've never been here before. And how do you love it?
It was tough. It was, well, let me just say one thing about the social distancing. I feel like I
went on my own little rant there. I apologize.
No, but I feel like I got a good sort of head on my shoulders, and it hermited me out.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not quite over it.
Yeah.
It sort of changed all the wiring in my head to after almost 2 years of not having to go anywhere.
Yep.
I thought, it changed a lot of people. Like now we can work from home. We don't have to go. And it rewired my brain to even now, these couple years later, when Bo says, hey, let's go to Santa Barbara and go out to dinner with our friends. It's like the hermit in me. It's like, oh, I don't really want to.
That's my Irish exit right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and I never really had that much before the social distancing of you're locked in your house now for a good year.
Yeah. Well, David Foster Wallace. So I'm rereading that book right now, which is, Infinite Jest, which is the book.
I never read that.
Yeah. It's the book everybody said they read, but never read.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that he said was when it becomes preferable and pleasurable for isolation, we will always choose isolation. So if for me, right, we live in a society, which is a great way to put it. But now so many people get contactless DoorDash, right? They order something and somebody drops it off on their, and there's no interaction.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine asked a little while ago, when's the last time you stood in line at the bank? And they're like, what? I don't even know where my branch is, right? Or they order coffee on an app, or they order food on an app, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so now technology has gone up, and by the technology rising, the amount we have to interact with the world drops.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there is like one of the things a good friend of mine was talking about. It was there is a certain amount of just male loneliness that no guys are really talking about, that nobody's like thinking about. And because we've lost those little microtransactions of standing in line for coffee and seeing the dog of someone behind you, and you're like, hey, can I pet your dog? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then all of a sudden you're petting somebody's dog and you're like, hey, where are you guys from? What are you doing? How's it going? This and that. And all of a sudden you build like this little micro friendship for a day. And when you leave and you got your cup of coffee in your hand, you're smiling because you got to pet a dog, or you got to see your neighbor, or like you're saying, you went to El Rancho, right? And you run into carp.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start talking, and all of a sudden you have this real interaction with a person that if you ordered all of that food on DoorDash or something else, and someone just drops on your front porch, you wouldn't have gotten. And so now it's like, how are we going to rebuild society? We're going to rebuild society by going analog, by standing in line, by saying hi to the person who is making your meal, or your waiter or your waitress or whatever, and go, hey, how's it going? What are you doing today? How's tonight going? It's this and that. And then you kind of have this little chopping it up moment where you're like, you kind of ran into somebody, and then you live in this valley. You're going to run into them at El Rancho or somewhere else. And you're like, oh, I know you. How's it going, man? Oh, good. This and that. And all of a sudden you're not lonely because you are interacting with all these people around you. And the more you do that, the better your life gets, the happier you are. And so many people, and I make wine and grow grapes, and a lot of people are like, hey, I'm not drinking right now. And I go, oh, it's okay. If it's a problem, I'll slap a drink out of your hand, right? If you have a problem, I will be the first one to slap a drink out of your hand. But on the other side, there's a lot of young people, and Jimmy Carr, who's a great comedian, I love him, said, we need to deal this new generation of people in. We haven't dealt them in yet. Mm-hmm. And the glass of wine thing, where people are like, I'm not drinking. He's like, the micro, what you're doing, that 1% that you would have hurt your liver by having a glass of wine with somebody over at their house, or put your feet up and hang out. That little damage, little teeny bit, also would have helped your mental state 100-fold, because now you had a real interaction. You got a friend, you got someone that you confided in, they confided in you. You're there to help them. You see them on the side of the road, you're pulling over to help them, pull them out of the mud. Yeah. And for me, it's like that ended 2025, look 2026. That's where I'm going, right? And you saying yes is just confirmation of that. We got a little northern exposure there. I apologize.
No, but there's a little theory on young men not drinking enough booze today, that this guy that was on Bill Maher, and I can't remember his name, he wrote a book, says is a problem. And he said to Bill...
Are you talking about the guy that said the death of happy hour? The death of the happy hour is a real problem. Was he on Maher?
It could have been.
Okay,
he's a tall man, bald head, a handsome guy. And what he said to Bill, he says, if you think back in your youth, how much of it was built around you and your buddies having a few drinks, having some laughs, and just maybe getting drunk once in a while?
How much fun did you have at your club?
Right. So that's what.
And how many friends? How many people made friends with people that night at the bar?
Friends to this day, a lot of them.
There we go.
From 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I opened that bar in '92, and so I think not. I'm not promoting drinking, but I'm saying I'm noticing a lot of young men who are staying in their homes more. And, this guy was saying, look, they, with what's available on the internet, they don't need a girlfriend.
Yeah.
They don't, they can order a cheeseburger. Here it comes. They don't even need to see the guy.
Isolation is preferable.
All that isolation.
Yeah.
Why do I need a girlfriend? Why do I need to take her out for $100 dinner when I've got this almost kind of real girlfriend right here in my phone?
Or the risk, and this is like, I have a 17-year-old son, right? And we talk about this. I'm like, hey man, if game is important, and he's kind of just joking around about it. It's like you need to be able to walk up to anybody and say, hey, how you doing? And you might get shot down, but take it in the chest and smile a little bit. But there's so many people now that like don't even want to risk the getting shot down.
I feel like that genie's out of the bottle. No matter how much you and I want to get it back in the bottle.
I'm trying to teach a 17-year-old how to do it.
God, it just feels to me like the world that we're. I don't want to be grumpy old man in my day, but it just feels. Mostly, if you watch the news, this AI thing that we don't even really understand is going to just put the nail in that coffin of social interaction.
Unless we stand in line, we go to the grocery store, we interact, we get some bruises, we get some scars, and we kind of throw it around a little bit and turn the tide. That's my 2 cents on it.
Well, we have this beautiful Nespresso machine at home.
Yeah.
Bo has a couple cups of coffee a day. I have my Nespresso in the morning. And then generally, I go almost every day to the grocery store just to have this experience. I talked to Jan at the coffee shop at El Rancho.
She's a sweetie.
She's sweetie. I talked to, I know almost all the employees in El Rancho and in the coffee shop, and I'll see somebody that I know in line.
Yep.
My buddy David or Bernie or somebody like that, and I really only do it to do exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I've got it, and I'll go in and get a box of raisins and maybe some eggs. You're
lying to yourself.
Yeah, I'm never loading up on groceries because I'm there every day.
Yeah,
but it's really just to go have a little bit of interaction.
Okay, so I love the fact that you're bringing this up because I think this is quintessential part of the Valley, because one of the things I love, and I'm not a well-traveled person, right? We went to Europe once because I was drunk and my wife goes, you haven't had a day off in like 8 years. We should go to Europe. We should go to France. And I'm like, sure, let's go. And it was a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. My whole family went. We got to go to Normandy for the 75th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
It was over the top. And it was one of those trips that year afterwards, my dad passed. So it was like, it was meant to be, right? But one of the things I loved about it was you would go in, if you're in these little townships or these little villages, you would go in and get your daily bread. You'd go into town to get a cup of coffee. You go into town to go to the butcher and the baker and candlestick maker, if you would. But why was that important? It was important because you were working in isolation most of the time. And then you went into town to fill up your little social fill and get to see somebody, hear the news, see what's happening. And that is something that's been happening for thousands of years. Like, we are hardwired for what you just described of, hey, I want to go out and see what's shaking, drive into town and, get my box of raisins and bump into some people and rub elbows. And because that human connection, right? Like even what we're doing right now, or if somebody's listening in on the radio, they're the third person sitting here, right? They're feeling what we're feeling. They're part of this conversation. They're probably yelling at me to shut up, and they're yelling at you to talk about big fat Greek wedding, right? But what we're really doing, and I see it with young people, just because everybody goes, the young kids these days and blah. I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. I see these kids putting down their phones. I see my son, like I said, 17 years old, Cash Saarloos, shout out. He has 6 to 10 guys at our house almost every Friday and Saturday night. They just all show up. They trickle in like our front lawn, if it was back in the 80s, would be littered with bicycles, right? We're that house.
Yeah.
And they come in, they eat us out of house and home. They cook, they stay up late, they make music, and it's just, for me and my wife, it's like, you guys can come here. It's a safe place. Don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything illegal.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning you drinking in my house. Do not drink in my house. We all got the rules? Yeah. Okay, doors open. Do whatever you want. And we go and hide and go, in our room while these kids are just running amok, right? And the first thing I say in the morning, I open the door and Cash goes, I'll clean it up. I'm like, perfect. See you later, right? But I think the young people, in my 2 cents, and this younger generation realizes that, the phones have failed us a little bit, and them being together as a group and piling into his room and playing music and like, have you heard this and that is alive and well. And I think that that's going to be on the upswing, in all honesty. I don't know how we got here from the beginning of this conversation, but I like it.
Well, it goes back to the coffee shop because
right.
we never had kids. But Bo's whole family lives there. Her two sisters and their husband and their kids, and her niece Mackenzie just had her baby.
How great is that?
Who is 1 year? We just had our little Christmas party on the 23rd, so the whole family was there. So I'm around younger kids, but not like I am when I go to the coffee shop, and sometimes it's around I guess it's their lunch.
Yeah, they all pile out of you see kids coming out of trunks of cars because it's you see that.
And I'm sitting out there.
The El Rancho trunk pop is kind of my favorite thing. I honestly, it looks like Happy Days or something, car. Right? And then all of a sudden you park, and then the bonk, and then like three underclassmen hop out of some senior's car and like, oh, we're out. They got paroled breaking out of Shawshank. It's great. I love it.
Well, that's funny. One of the things that I do is if I'm sitting outside, I've said hi to everybody, but now I'm going to sit out, under the umbrella and have a coffee. And I take a little thing to journal sometimes too, or not. I'll just sit and watch people coming and going, and maybe I'll see somebody I know. But when I'm there, when the kids are there from high school, I can't help but, eavesdrop and want to hear what they're talking about because they're all sitting at different tables. And I'm almost always blown away by how much they converse and the good stuff that they talk about. And hardly any of them are on their phones. Yeah. And they're not drinking coffee. Maybe one kid's got an iced coffee or something, but the way they greet each other as they walk by too, like, they say hello to each other. And I'm really impressed with the kids. It's easy to come down on them. But I think the kids that I see from St. Inez High School who are coming and hanging out there, and it's a wide mix of them. I can tell who's kind of the jocks and who's the nerds, and they all sort of are kind to each other.
The one thing I have noticed with that, and Sean Cassidy. Sean's a great guy. I have to say his name because if I say it without saying him, he'll call me. He goes, "This valley gives your kids another 4 years." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "Well, the stuff that a freshman in high school is doing here, it's 6th, 7th grade somewhere else. And when they're a senior here, they're not trying to race to become an adult, right? When I was a kid, man, I was hell bent for leather to be an adult, right? I want to do all of this stuff.
Same.
And, pack of smokes, hey, let's go, that kind of thing. And too young, doing stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. And what I see here in this very fertile, because we moved here to raise kids. That was it. Like this is where I want to plant the seeds. Mm-hmm. And having seen them grow up here in a community of people where adults are looking out for them, and then if they see something, they'll say something to another parent, like, "Hey, just so you know," and you're like, "Oh, thank you, thanks for looking out for my kid."
Yeah.
The one thing I am absolutely blown away by is with my daughter, who's 21 now, my son, who's 17. When they say goodbye to each other, they hug each other and say, "I love you."
Yeah, that's nice.
When they're walking out the door, like that's their default. And I'm like, man, these kids are 20 years ahead.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to go through a lot of garbage and therapy to get to a point where they're comfortable looking at each other and saying, "Hey, I love you." Mm-hmm. Big hug, call me when you get home. Shoot me a text when you get home. Mm-hmm. Right? And they're looking out for each other in a beautiful way that makes me go, geez, these kids are going to be all right, man. Like maybe we were the ones who were screwed up. These guys are on it. And me personally, I got a lot of hope, specifically for this area. It's great.
It's that just separation genie in the bottle that we're talking about. That little thing you hold in your hand, which is the most amazing invention ever almost, is
Library of Alexandria, good and bad.
Yeah. And I see people as old as me with their crooked heads just staring at it all day long too, especially if we do go out to dinner, I'm kind of I'm a little bit of a Luddite. Like I think I brought my phone, but I hardly ever take my phone, right?
Yeah.
But even when we got to dinner and Bo puts it on the table, I said, what's going on here? She goes, well, my mom, her mom's 92 or anything. I'm like, put it in your purse.
There was a time we drove across the country with no
called
phone.
you in 2 hours. And so it's easier. Adults even fall into it, man. And I see them right across in the red barn. Like I'll see two people like on their phone or looking at their phone, and it always kind of bums me out. I kind of want to scream and go, put those away.
Yeah, I got it.
I
just think it might be a beautiful toy that we really played with a lot, and now we're like, maybe we shouldn't play with this as much. It's to a certain extent it's smoking, right? Where you're like, hey, this is pretty fun, and you make a lot of friends on the curb and things like that. But at some point you're like, maybe it's time to put this thing down. But, music. Or what else you want to talk about? Anything you want, man. You want to talk about music? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I like music. Are you music? Yeah, you said you don't play drums. You play guitar or anything like that?
My son's playing guitar. I have stupid fingers, so I can't play guitar very well. But where we grew up, I grew up in Southern California, Long Beach area and things like that. And I was lucky enough that where you're talking about Seattle and that Seattle scene, when I was growing up, like Sublime was a backyard bar band.
Wow.
And so I grew up with like Sublime, No Doubt, kind of Orange County punk music scene.
Yeah.
Where we'd go like, oh, we're going to go to this show, go to Riverside.
Yeah.
Operation, and it was like, I got to see Rage Against the Machine's very first show.
Wow.
Ever, which was at UC San Diego, total fluke. But then the next show, they were playing at a skate shop in Long Beach, and we're like, we're all going, right? And so music to me is always this thing that's like, I love music. Like if I'm not listening to a book, I'm listening to music, and I have a very ADHD. Every single cut from Waylon Jennings to Black Sabbath to something brand new my son turned me on to. But even with my son, it's like, showing him No Effects and old punk music, right? And he's like lighting up hearing this stuff, Pennywise and everything else. Mm-hmm. So our musical tastes as a family is broad and all over the place. But I'm a big fan of just music that makes me feel something. That's my criteria for a song that goes in my like little liked folder.
Yeah.
Is if I hear a song and it inside resonates and makes me feel something.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
And then I go back to it. So for you, from being around that whole scene and then making music, how did that come about?
Well, let me tell you a funny little story. So when I moved from West Virginia to meet and get to know my dad, who lived in Bellflower.
Yeah. The friendly city.
The friendly city. Which is
by the way, my friend Dan Coops has been in the mayor of Bellflower for years, so I am still deep in Bellflower.
So I'm from Wheeling, West Virginia, which the motto on the sign is also the friendly city.
I love it.
And we lived, not to make this a long story, but we lived in Oxnard until I was 2.
Yeah.
Right? And then my folks split up. My dad stayed in California. We took the train back to West Virginia, my mom and I. So from 2 to 17, I saw my dad.
That's a song, by the way.
That's a good song.
Good song.
I saw John. My dad's name's John Corbett also. And
are you Junior or Trey?
He's John Marshall. I'm John Joseph.
Got it.
What does that make me?
I think that makes you Junior.
Junior.
Yeah.
I saw him 2 times. He came back, I think when I was 7 and maybe when I was 15 or 16 for like 2 days, say hi. And so I didn't really know him. So I drove to California after high school and showed up on his doorstep, and he was great. He put me in a steel factory, and I became a welder and thought that was going to be my life. But
not a bad gig.
But the guy across the street from me worked for this band, this little backyard band. And he said, hey, my dad had a pickup truck. He goes, can we use your dad's truck to move some of these amps and stuff? And so I said, sure.
You were the guy with the van.
I was the guy. Yeah. And so I did it. And this guy's name was Terry. And the little band, this little backyard band, I became best buddies with the guitar player and the drummer, who went on to a couple years later to form this band called Dokken, which was a hair band, right?
Yeah,
in the early 80s. George Lynch was my buddy, the guitar player, and Mick Brown was the drummer. And there was this little backyard band called Exciter, and that's how I became friends with these guys. So I was working in the steel factory in Irwindale when my buddy George and Mick are now in this band Dokken, and I'm listening to KLOS.
Oh, yeah.
Going to work in the morning.
95.5.
95, and here's Dokken on the radio.
You made it, man.
So that was my first experience of this is possible. A friend of mine like you is now on the radio, and in a big way too. And they're out touring with Dio and stuff like that. And
Dio,
yeah,
nice,
right?
That's a deep cut. I love it.
And so that was my first experience with being around music and being around bands, even though I'd been playing guitar since I was about 7 or 8 in West Virginia. Yeah. I guess this story goes to, I'd always had buddies that I played with and stuff in about 2004 on a trip to Nashville, to present at one of these CMT awards, as an actor giving an award to Shania Twain.
Hey,
who
made a video at the Longhorn. Hey,
who is our very good friend and full disclosure.
Did you make that video at the Longhorn because of you guys?
Bose.
Wait, say it in the mic. Say it in the mic. Go. That's great.
So Shania's first 2 videos, John Derek, Bo's husband, shot the album cover for her first big album.
Okay.
And then Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under?
Yeah.
And one other song John shot the videos for up here.
Okay.
And coincidentally, Shania is in town right now. And she's hanging out with us, and we're going to have a little party
that's magnificent
this week. And she's got horses here, and she comes to the valley more than people know. In fact, we could go to the Red Barn tonight, and when she pulls her hair back, nobody even really gets that it's Shania, right? But at this particular award show,
the valley is also pretty good about that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's true.
It's like somebody, if as famous as you can get, right? Somebody goes, Michael Jackson used to drive in and go to our country store and buy Pepsi. And you're like, oh, yeah. And everybody's like, hey, Mike, how's it going? That kind of stuff, right? So the valley's cool. Yeah, the valley's cool. It's
out of Coke today, huh? So I got to get this Pepsi.
Totally. And it's like, the valley's pretty cool with that,
Bo was pals with Michael Jackson. She said she used to go out to Neverland all the time. I never got to meet. Did you ever meet Michael Jackson?
Nope.
I never got to meet him. Well, I give this award, but I took my buddy, who I'd known since he was 16, great guitar player, named Tara. And for some reason, we're there for about a week, and we go in and we record some songs at a friend of his who's a songwriter's little studio. Because we had always made music together, and I said, I want to do this. So we went back and we made a real album, right? In 2005, I guess. And I got all these great Nashville songwriters, and all the guys who play on Keith Urban's and Kenny Chesney's records were my studio guys. Awesome. I mean, this record back then probably cost me $75,000 to make. I think I had 13 cuts on it. I hired a radio promotion team. Awesome. And we went out and toured in a really big way.
Awesome.
I mean, I think I played 230 shows that first year. We got on Billboard, the Billboard charts. I still have a record. Highest debut by a independent artist on the country charts.
Well
I came
done.
in 43.
Well done.
And for, I don't know, the next 10, 12 years, we played 100 shows a year.
Awesome.
400 or 500 seaters all over the United States. I can't write a book about acting, but I can write a book about the music business.
Yeah.
And I mean, we played shows opening for Keith Urban and ZZ Top and Carrie Underwood to backyard carnivals and everything in between.
Yeah.
And I drove every mile almost. We weren't in a bus. We were in a rented expedition with me and 3 other guys loading in, loading out, doing meet and greets. And it was a time of my life. And then
you just talking about it, I just watching you light up about it, in all honesty.
But we did a 3-hour show with no breaks. It was almost Springsteen-like.
Pretty great.
and then a 2-hour meet and greet after. And I started it when I was about 44, 45. I don't know where I got the energy.
Yeah.
But here's what happened. COVID happens. We had
Yeah.
a big summer tour planned. I think we had 70 shows or something. COVID happens in March. That gets shuttered. Another year goes by. Then I realize I'd been doing it since 04, like every year.
Yeah.
Take a couple years off.
That's 20 years.
Yeah, but then you take a couple years off and you say, oh, I'm in my 60s now, and this isn't as easy as if I had just kept doing it.
Yeah.
Now I can't do it, and I never did it again.
Really?
I never did it again. I never went back on the road again. It was so much work, so hard. So, I booked the hotels, I booked the flights.
It's kind of like getting off the couch and going running again. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I ran every day for 20 years, and then you sit on the couch for a couple of months, and then getting back off the couch, pretty tough.
And it became like, it's hard to rock at 9:00 in Los Angeles on a Tuesday night. I mean, not Los Angeles, in St. Louis on a Tuesday night. And then it's 8 a.m, drive 6 hours to Kansas City and do it again. Because my drummer would always go like, 5 minutes to 9, time to rock, and I'd go like, man, and I'm going to do this 3 more nights before a break.
Yeah.
It became like a job, and then it became, and trying to drink after, driving hungover, and then trying to do it all over again like on a hamster wheel. Yeah, it's hard, man.
Are you still playing though?
I still play with my brother-in-law, who's an amazing guitar player, and he comes over, and we have a few beers, and we play, but not out in public on any level at all. And I don't think I probably ever will, because it's that old thing of like, been there, done that, got a T-shirt. It's like, I got everything out of it I wanted.
So what's next? What if you, now, no pressure.
I got the answer.
No pressure, because we're
wrapping it up.
We're wrapping it up. We're landing the plane. I mean, the story that you've told has been amazing. It is a rabbit's foot of a story, and it is awesome to listen to. And my face hurts from smiling this whole time. What would you like to do?
I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
Now I am in that state of life where it's me, my wife, our German Shepherds, our horses, her family. I don't have any family left. They're all gone. And this is it. I don't want to sleep in a hotel in Little Rock because I'm doing some silly Hallmark movie for 8 weeks for just money. I've been smart with my money, so I saved most of it. So now I don't have to go do that for money. And, I'm in a real small category as an actor, and there's not many 65-year-old boyfriend parts left. And I'm never going to be in a movie where I'm using an English accent. I'm not doing my left foot to, well, Daniel Day-Lewis passed. Let's go to Corbett, so that's,
we need the right-hander out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
right,
that's not happening. And so those kind of parts that I've done my whole life, which were great parts, those aren't interesting to me anymore. What's interesting is just being at home, being
present.
We don't have help, so I do everything around the house.
Yeah.
We have 10 acres. I fix every broken fence. And so I wake up in the morning and have my coffee, and maybe I am chopping some wood. Maybe I am on my riding lawnmower, and there's kind of no place else I'd rather be. But it's not.
That sounds like freedom.
Yeah, it's not going to be on a movie set somewhere waiting for somebody to knock on my door and go, "We're ready for you to come say those memorized lines that you don't even like."
My old man said there is one of the most undervalued moments in life is when you have a routine you really enjoy.
Wait, say it again.
He said one of the most undervalued pieces of life is when you have a routine you truly enjoy.
Ooh.
And it was like, I get up, go, like for me, it's like I get up, I go get coffee. That's the last decision I really get to make of the day, because then I heard this in a Grateful Dead documentary, which I always loved, where my son asked me, Dad, isn't it great that you don't have a boss? And I'm stealing this from this documentary. It was the head roadie for the Grateful Dead, right? And he said, you have a boss, you just don't know who it is today. And like you're saying, a broken fence, a broken pipe, the lawn needs to be mowed, the horses need to be fed. Those are your bosses, right? And if you work for a boss you really enjoy, it's not much work.
That's right. That's right. And the truth of the matter is too, I won't be able to do this. Maybe I got 10 more years in. Maybe at 75 I can still do this. But
I know some 80-year-olds still throwing a lot of wood around.
Yeah, there will be a point though when it's like, honey, I think we got to downsize, or we got to get some help around here.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to enjoy being able to not be too sore to do stuff like that now, because man, as everybody knows, listen to this, folks. That's life. That's how fast it goes.
That right.
And my buddy said something too. He says, on your tombstone, they're going to have the year you're born,
a dash,
and the year you die.
That's it.
And the dash says it all. He goes, and what'd you do with your dash? And so I'm just trying to make my dash into something other than hey, I'm going to do a movie with Jerry O'Connell.
Right.
My dash is now something beyond that.
John, I feel like I've made a friend.
Yeah, I do too.
You're a great dude. It's been a pleasure listening to you. I got a smile on my face. I really thank you for saying yes and coming in and having a great time. And I look forward to running into you around town. So for everyone, this has been Keith Saarloos and
John Corbett
on Chuffing It Up on 105.9 Crazy Country.